नीरव जी।
हेलो हेलो
हाँ।
हेलो।
हाँ, गुड आफ्टरनून सिंह साहब, आवाज आ रही है?
हाँ, मेरे को आवाज आ रही है, आपको मेरी आ रही है?
हाँ, बिल्कुल आ रही है, वीडियो भी क्लियर है। आप प्रेजेंटेशन ट्रायल कर लीजिए।
अभी शेयर करके देखो।
हाँ, कीजिए।
ये आ गया क्या?
नहीं, अभी आ रहा है। हाँ जी, आ गया। अब वो एक वाले को बड़ा कर दीजिए। हाँ, अच्छा
आ गया।
ठीक है, परफेक्ट है सर।
ठीक है ना?
हाँ, बिल्कुल परफेक्ट है सर।
चलिए।
अब क्लोज
कोई
कर।
बाहर निकल जाओ ना। ठीक है।
अभी स्क्रीन शेयरिंग बंद नहीं किया आपने?
स्टॉप कर दो ना, शेयर। अभी
अब
ठीक है।
कर दिया। अब ठीक है, अब बिल्कुल ठीक है। बंद हो गई।
ठीक है, ओके।
हेलो। हाँ जी, हो गया स्टार्ट, आ गए लोग, आगे आ जाइए। हाँ सारे आ गए, आप भी आ जाओ।
आ गया रावत। रावत
हाँ जी बम्बानी साहब, आ गए, बिल्कुल ठीक है, वीडियो ऑडियो ठीक है आपका,
ठीक है बिल्कुल।
बिल्कुल परफेक्ट है। जरा बीच में हो जाओ,
अच्छा
थोड़ा और लेफ्ट,
और
थोड़ा और उधर उधर, राइट राइट, थोड़ा और हो जाओ।
अरे लैपटॉप घुमा लीजिए अपने हिलने के बजाय।
लैपटॉप हिला दिया।
गुड आफ्टरनून ममानी साहब।
गुड आफ्टरनून। अब ठीक है।
ठीक है बम्बानी साहब, ठीक।
I welcome you all.
मणि साहब बड़ा ब्राइट लग रहा है आपका फेस,
क्या लग रहा है?
बहुत ही ब्राइट,
ब्लैक लग रहा है?
अच्छा लग रहा है, चमकदार।
अच्छा, ऊपर ट्यूबलाइट जलाई है।
अच्छा अच्छा।
हाँ जी, रावत जी, होस्ट होस्ट है, घोस्ट है?
हाँ
रावत
जी
क्या होस्ट है या घोस्ट है?
हाँ।
गौतम नहीं आया ना अभी?
गौतम साहब आते होंगे।
अब जूम और इसमें क्या फर्क क्या है यार?
हैं?
वेबएक्स और जूम में क्या फर्क है?
फर्क तो बहुत है। जूम तो
हैं?
क्या रिकॉर्डिंग देखी है ना आपने?
क्या किया? क्या बोल
इसका
रहे हो?
ये फायदा है कि छोटा, इसका वेबएक्स का जो सबसे बड़ा एडवांटेज है ना,
क्या क्या एडवांटेज है?
ये जैसे आप स्पीकर बोल रहा है, इन बिटवीन कोई डिस्टर्ब करता है तो उसकी फोटो नहीं आती। जूम में इमीडिएटली वो फोकस कर देते हैं, किस कोई साउंड आता है ना, उसको उठाता है।
तेरी आवाज कट रही है।
हाँ, इधर तो नेट की प्रॉब्लम है ना, 2 Mbps स्पीड है यहाँ की।
लकीली यहाँ पर आज नेट का प्रॉब्लम नहीं है। Abe Gautam, hero has come. Hero of the program has come. Gautam ji, namaskar. Mr. Dora has come.
Yeah. Good afternoon to all, sir.
Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Jay. Good afternoon. Gautam sir, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dora sir.
Wash. He is an expert in washery. गौतम परेशान है, लग नहीं रहा क्या? Where are you placed nowadays, Mr. Dora?
Sir, I have just left Jindal's. I have to join a company in Nigeria.
Oh, I see. Very good.
So probably next month I may join once the formalities, the PCC and everything is ready.
But in Nigeria, there is no washery or something, no?
They are coming up with the iron ore beneficiation,
Achha.
pellet and DRI. So that's a group. They are coming for the first time in iron making.
Okay.
So I'll be joining their project ahead.
साई साहब भी आ गए.
Sai Sahab, namaskar.
How can you hear me?
Hello.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. I just wanted to check if you can hear me.
Gautam Sahab, namaskar.
गौतम जी
वो कुमार साहब को ईमेल का लिंक भेज दो भाई अभी.
क्यों कुमार
रावत
साहब?
जी,
उनको क्या सारे रिमाइंडर्स में है लिंक तो. साई साहब नमस्कार.
साई साहब दिख तो नहीं रहे.
अभी आया नहीं है.
अभी आए नहीं.
तो नमस्कार किए जा रहे.
ये सिस्टम सर्किट में आया.
वो कुमार साहब को लिंक भेज दो भाई रावत जी.
Sir, good afternoon.
म्यूटेड है उनका तो.
दो जगह पे कनेक्टेड है हमारा सर.
काफी लोग आने हैं. पीएम वर्मा, हाउ आर यू?
हाँ जी, गुड मॉर्निंग. वर्मा साहब, गुड आफ्टरनून.
गुड
Good
आफ्टरनून.
afternoon.
Good afternoon जी. Good afternoon.
गुड मॉर्निंग भी कह सकते हो, फर्स्ट टाइम मिले हैं तो.
नहीं, वो तो कभी भी कर सकते हो, हमारी मदर टंग थोड़ी है.
किसका बज रहा है ये?
जरा एसी चला देना.
किसका मोबाइल बज रहा है?
मेरा.
फिर वो तक बंद.
या तुम्हारा बज रहा?
कुमार साहब को कर रहा हूँ, घंटी बज रही, उठा नहीं रहे.
साहब मेरे साथ बात कर रहे हैं.
अच्छा ठीक है, उनको भेज दो. उनको लिंक नहीं मिल रहा, मैंने भेजा है.
हाँ, उनको तरफ जरा देखने में कुछ इशू आ रहा है. कोई बात नहीं, अभी कर देते थे.
डोरा साहब को नमस्कार।
सर नमस्कार, सर गौतम सर नमस्कार।
मैंने आपको अभी पहचाना, देख रहा था।
मैंने पहले आपको
देखा,
देखा
हम तो बात भी बहुत सारी बातें भी कर ली हमने।
वर्मा साहब को भी फोन लगाओ यार, रावत जी। एसके वर्मा।
एसके वर्मा, फार्मर,
हेलो
पीएमपीडीआई।
हाँ कुमार साहब, हेलो हाँ कुमार साहब,
मैंने भेजा लिंक उनको।
कहा यार 3-4 ईमेल है, कोई निकाल ले, उसमें लिंक है।
जब गड़बड़ होती है ना तो ऊँट पे बैठे भी आदमी को कुत्ता काट जाता है। एसके चौधरी बहुत देर से नहीं आ रहा। तो साहब पहले ज्वाइन किए थे।
हाँ, पहले ज्वाइन किए, सबसे पहले। हाँ, सही साहब आ गए।
हाँ जी, मैंने लिंक आपको भेजा है। साई साहब फोन पे हैं।
हाँ, अनम्यूट भी कर दीजिए। यस, वर्मा है कम। नमस्कार वर्मा साहब।
नमस्कार वर्मा साहब।
नमस्कार। गुड आफ्टरनून एवरीवन।
गुड आफ्टरनून वर्मा जी।
हाँ जी, गुड आफ्टरनून।
गुड आफ्टरनून। शाही साहब नमस्कार।
भाई साहब क्लिप मोबाइल पे है। साई साहब नमस्कार।
द्वारा व्यू
साई साहब नमस्कार।
हाँ, अब आ गए। अब
नमस्कार नमस्कार नमस्कार।
नमस्कार, नमस्कार।
नमस्कार। मेरा गायब हो गया।
सारे स्पीकर्स आ गए?
वर्मा जी नहीं आए, डोरा साहब तो आ गए.
हाँ?
So Dora has come. VP Singh has come. अभी लोग बाग आएंगे, अभी तो आए नहीं है.
3 तो बज गया ना सर,
हैं?
3 बज गए.
हाँ 3 तो बज गए हैं, बट
साहब आ गए.
Can you hear me?
yes.
Yes, sir.
Ashwatan?
नमस्कार सर.
I can see you. Sai sir, good afternoon. Mashwatam?
Or I got disconnected.
आगे कुमार साहब आ गए.
हाँ जी, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
कुमार साहब नमस्कार.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
ये क्या हो गया? ये कहाँ से गड़बड़ था?
सर विंडो डाउन हो गया.
Okay. All right.
तो साहब आपका फोटो में चौधरी साहब का नाम लगा दिया है.
कोई बात नहीं.
कुमार साहब कैसे हैं?
कृपा है जी. हाँ, थैंक यू.
गांव घर के की हाल चाल है?
सब बढ़िया, एकदम. बारिश नहीं हो रही है.
नहीं?
टेरिबल. आई थिंक इट्स वन ऑफ द वर्स्ट इयर्स.
अच्छा, जाते हैं कभी गांव में?
अभी तो होकर क्या है.
तो क्या है? अच्छा.
फरवरी में गए थे, लेकिन अभी तो हिम्मत नहीं हो रही है. पीपल आर डाइंग.
भाई साहब
वहाँ तो हीट वेव चल रही है बड़ी जबरदस्त.
बहुत जबरदस्त. या एंड
People are dying like never before from heat wave.
they say 500 people already dead.
Yes.
19 political party also there.
भाई साहब, I want to give you compliments for a very good program which you syndicated for 3 days. That was
हमारा USAID के साथ we have a tie-up. We will do one program
और
with us also.
वो अच्छा प्रोग्राम था सर, quite informative and
हाँ.
educative.
Gautam was there. He attended for quite some time.
good.
I was also there.
Yeah, you were also there. Actually, this is a subject I am working when I was power secretary, and after that also through World Bank. We have made sufficient success actually, because cooperation and see hydropower of Bhutan, Nepal is relevant to us.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
hydropower Bhutan and India is a classic example. It's a success story.
we got a few projects done. You got the transmission line done. Now we have transmission 400 kV with Nepal also.
Right. Chukha was done by me.
A number of things. Yeah. That's
Chukha was the
a
first project which I did by you.
that's a good subject. That's a good subject. उसमें one institution is this, that is a foreign ministry institution, RIS. There we have created a South Asia group on energy. And that group I chair, and we are very senior bureaucrats.
कुमार साहब एक बार वर्मा जी को लगा लीजिए सर.
इसके वर्मा को.
हाँ मैंने ट्राई किया था, वो कह रहे थे ज्वाइन कर रहा हूँ.
कौन?
वर्मा जी.
Former CMD, CM PDI.
क्वालिटी के लिए कुछ करिए भाई. सेमिनार तो कर रहे हैं. और
आने
क्वालिटी
करना बहुत जरूरी है सर. सेमिनार बहुत दिन से कर रहे हैं पर उल्टा होता जा रहा है.
नहीं अभी एक दिन थोड़ा फॉलो अप हम लोग करना पड़ेगा. On that coal washery we have to come back. We can't leave just like that. That is the crucial thing on quality.
वैसे तो Ministry of Coal is now saying that they will pay attention. Let us see. We have to pursue with them and keep on reminding them that please do something.
But consumers have to accept it. Na? Consumers are not accepting.
कम से कम ये करवाइए साई साहब, कम से कम de-shelling करवा दीजिए. Even by doing the simple process of de-shelling, severe complaints should go away. वर्मा ज्वाइन कर रहे हैं ना?
अरे ये क्या हुआ?
हाँ वर्मा ज्वाइन करिए. We are already waiting for you. Thank you.
वैसे कुछ पावर स्टेशन यूज कर रहे हैं in spite of that thing, जैसे कि AP Genco is using about 7 million tons. Gujarat is using, some power stations are using, and they are claiming that they have got definite advantages.
Correct. There is a feedback from those who are using that there is a definite advantage.
Distant power stations get convinced immediately. No, I mean, close by power stations, they have having a problem. You see, if the freight advantage is not there, they are not convinced that disadvantage is to them. And for that, they have to launch a massive campaign with facts and figures, by collecting facts and figures from different power stations. And that is how we go about it. But meanwhile, I was suggesting that a simple process of de-shelling, which will cost about 10 rupees, 15 rupees per ton, and it will remove the real stone. I mean, it can't take care of scaly coal, but it will take care of shale and other stones. So that we should introduce, and we should be able to persuade them to practice it, because it's a simple installation, simple operation, not very expensive, and it can be replicated.
No, even one of the seminars we agreed, no? Myself and maybe Mr. Kumar, maybe
we agreed, yes.
Gautam, and also Partha.
Yeah.
We should take it on ourselves and meet the minister, meet the secretary, and work on this. They should reintroduce that circular and implement it. That's it.
Right. I think if you take the initiative and have a meeting with Secretary Coal and Secretary Power,
yeah,
probably we can make a beginning. And maybe NTPC and major power
NTPC does not get interested because most of their power stations, almost all of them, excepting few, they are below 500 kilometers. So our circular is, our guideline was for, not guideline, our notification was for 500 kilometer, 500 kilometer and above.
Yeah.
So that should be introduced. NTPC is not interested because of that reason, actually. Their job is done.
They are claiming that they are not getting the right thing after paying. But now that they are themselves coal producers, they should wash their own coal so that that complaint is not there, and they can use their own coal. Now they are producing quite a bit of coal, and we are planning to increase it quite fast.
Own coal is much better than coal.
We have to take care of others other than NTPC. NTPC, as I said, that except few power stations.
NTPC is the big player and it has a big say. They need to be convinced.
No, NTPC had a bad experience in Dadri, sir. In the name of the washed coal, they were getting unwashed coal and unnecessarily paying for it. That is why NTPC
I will not
quiet.
get into that controversy, sir. Now they have their own coal, they can wash it and use it, so the Dadri example can be forgotten.
That's right.
Coal India,
Okay.
Not getting washed coal, that's a different issue. I mean, for that you penalize the supplier, whatever action you want to take, but for giving up the principle, that is one incident does not justify it. Say some operation surgery goes wrong.
वो सच झूठ का पता नहीं, पर एक मिल गया, उसको बहुत ही यूज कर रहे हैं.
नहीं, वही कह रहा हूँ ना कि एक सर्जरी में किसी का डेथ हो गया, तब आगे से सर्जरी होगी नहीं.
एक वो है AP Genco is using several million tons. Gujarat is using, वो example की कोई बात नहीं करता है. Gujarat started using raw coal and went back and said no, we will not use raw coal, we'll use washed coal. वो भी example है वर्मा जी.
देखो सारे एग्जांपल हैं. कोल इंडिया इज अ बिग कंपनी.
तो पर हम तो उसको एक दादरी को लेके बैठे हुए हैं.
नहीं दादरी नहीं है, सब जगह प्रॉब्लम है, ऐसी बात नहीं है.
एक एग्जांपल मत दीजिए. कोई बात नहीं सर, है चलिए छोड़िए.
Let's not get into controversy now. Let's start main subject.
चलिए सर, चलिए
शुरू कर दें.
शुरू करिए।
हाँ जी,
ये
करिए
शुरू
सर,
करिए, शुरू करिए।
हमारे शुरू करिए।
okay. Let's start. Very good afternoon to everybody. I welcome you all to our this webinar on improvement of coal quality in India. We are grateful to Mr. Dora, former Vashri in charge of JSPL, and Mr. Verma, former CMD CPM PADI, who have accepted our invitation to be giving their views. I'm sure this subject, washing coal, is the subject which being debated for last 20 years. While it is definitely advantageous to use wash coal for stations which are away, but the consumers have their own reservations. But this topic has to be further taken because there are distinct advantages of using the wash coal. This topic is under various discussions. In quite a time, as I said, the users have been raising but their issues. The coal suppliers have their own issues. I think this platform will bring out those issues, and coal suppliers will find a solution to satisfy the users. May I now say a few words of India Energy Forum. India Energy Forum is a unique, independent, non-profit research organization and represents energy sector as a whole. This is very important because India Energy Forum is debating all the verticals of the energy. It was set up in February 2001. We celebrated our 20th anniversary in June 2021. It's probably the only organization which champions the cause of total energy, all forms of energy, ranging from coal, power, thermal, hydro, oil, gas, nuclear, renewables, from the beginning of its functioning. This feature of its functioning gave a distinct advantage of taking an integrated look. It's very important, integrated look on the energy scene. In fact, India Energy Forum did frame an energy policy document which became an input to the Planning Commission. Integrated policy was brought out in August 2006. Mr. P.S. Bami, former CMD NTPC, was the founder president, followed by Mr. Anil Razdan, former Secretary, Ministry of Power, and now Mr. R.V. Sai, former Secretary, Ministry of Power, is heading this organization as president. His dynamic approach has made it possible that we organize about 36 webinars. Post-COVID period also, we are continuing with this, and also now going for the physical seminars. We already have 4, the 5th was in pipeline. So we are maintaining the balance between the webinars and the physical programs. Membership of India Energy Forum includes NTPC, NHPC, Power Grid, Power Finance, Reliance, Tata Power, ONGC, Naveli Lignite, Coal India, India Energy Exchange, and over highly respected energy experts in various verticals of the energy. Forum has concluded a MOU with International Solar Alliance under the guidance of Mr. R.V. Sai. In fact, he initiated this proposal, and we have signed the MOU with them to promote solar power projects not only in India but outside India. India Energy Forum also works very closely with other NGOs like Bengal Chamber, Bombay Chamber, Madras Chamber, PhD, ORG, IRDA, and all such organizations. We have a very close link.
वो टाइटन पे किधर घूमने गए होंगे या रेट्रीव
Forum
पर
organizes webinars, and this one is the most webinar, and the topic of the, it will be the outcome of the seminar. We will prepare a note
adventure
which will bring out the issues discussed here and the solutions which are possible. Forum organized issues is publication Total Energy. Previously we were issuing it once in 2 months, but from this month we will be bringing out every month. And this Total Energy has been very well appreciated by the experts who received this document. And we are covering in this proceedings and recommendations of the webinars and physical programs which we are organizing. With these few words, again, I thank you all, and I welcome the speakers, Mr. Verma and Mr. Dora. Mr. BP Singh also is participating. And now I request Mr. Gautam to proceed with the agenda. Mr. Gautam.
Thank you, Mr. Bambani. It is indeed a pleasure to have this seminar on a very important topic, as already mentioned by the Secretary General, that we keep continuing taking up important issues and discuss them and bring them to the notice of the public at large, particularly with policymakers. And this is in the same series an effort on a very important issue of improvement of coal quality in India. We have got eminent speakers. They'll be talking in detail, but I'm just taking this part that we have very successfully, tackled the problem of the shortage of coal, and the quantities have now been produced. Last year, the production was 892 million tons. 13% growth was there by Coal India, and 34% was there with non-Coal India blocks. Just a minute, sir. There is Mr. Verma is on the line. Hello.
You go ahead. I'm trying to join. I don't know. I'm entering everything which the prompt is asking. But still it is not allowing me to join the meeting.
I will ask Mr. Rawat to talk to you.
Okay. Thank you.
Is he not able to connect?
He is not, sir. Zara baat kar lijiye. He is not able to connect. Let me carry on with this. So, and 34% growth was there with non-coal Coal India sector, excluding Southeast Singareni collieries. And now the production is there, and we will certainly achieve our dream of 1 billion tons where it is shown. But at the same time, it is becoming difficult as to how the coal is being utilized. Already the Kumar Saab, mute kar lijiye apne aap ko. Already the coal stocks in the collieries is increasing, and it has reached a level of 40 million tons. However, it is the right time now that the coal sector should pay its attention to the improvement of quality of coal. This is one subject which concerns both the producer, supplier, and the consumer. And this debate between the consumer and supplier, as mentioned by Mr. Bambani, has been going on last 30 years. And then finally government decided to step in, and a government notification was given, which lasted for about 20 years, but it did not have much teeth, but had some impact. But unfortunately, this prior to May 2020, it was mandatory for all the powerhouses located beyond 500 kilometers to use the coal ash content less than 34% ash, washed coal, blended coal, or maybe raw coal. Pursuant to MOF notification of 21/5/2020, such mandate was done away with, and the choice of the use of coal having less than 34% ash now vests with the wishes of the respective individual powerhouses. Some powerhouses are using washed coal in spite of this notification, like GSECL, Ratan India, Dhanu, AP Genco. But there are certain power stations, like particularly PSB, which are sitting so far away from the supply source, are still continuing or have changed over to raw coal. So I do not know what are their justifications. However, it is very important. All over the world, the coal is being washed before it leaves the source of supply. And they have got much better quality of coal than what India has. India has very high ash coal, and we need it the most. And all those countries which are forced to use coal, which is a polluting fuel, are going in for improvement in by using clean coal technology and HALI techniques. But both these techniques certainly require better quality of coal before combustion to get better results. But some or the other, we are continuing to carry on in the same style. But Government of India, particularly Ministry of Coal, has now declared that they will be paying attention to the improvement of coal quality, which is a very positive sign, and we are very encouraged, and we hope that these promises will be turned into action, and some quick action will be taken. And if nothing else, dry washing and deshaling of the coal can be done at much lesser costs, so which will give at least partial benefit and partial improvement to the quality of coal. However, I just want to give you a little more information before I switch over to the speakers, is that today 147 million tons is the washing capacity established in private sector, and only 60 million tons washed coal is coming out of these washeries, and having only a utilization of about 40 to 43% only. Though there were sectors of malpractices during the washed coal being supplied, there were instances, but I'm sure they can be rectified with close attention, and all these malpractices can go. They are not something which are permanent, and we should take it that they cannot be rectified. They can be rectified. Good thing is there one MCL washery at Lakhanpur of 10 million tons is already undergoing trial and is going to come in the production stream very soon. So I'll not take any more time on this subject, so I can go on, but at the same time, it's an important issue. So I now will wait for the learned speakers, these distinguished experts which are there on the panel, to brief us on this topic. Now, may I request Shri U. Kumar, former CMD, NCL and Southeastern Coalfield Limited, member of the Board of Management India Energy Forum, to please give the theme presentation and the introduction of the speakers. Mr. Kumar, please.
Rawat, why have you put this presentation in this? Rawat?
No, yes, created, I think. So,
on the screen.
Yeah, Mr. S.K. Verma has shared the screen.
That when the turn comes, that time, no, not now.
Sharing the screen, Mr. S.K. Verma.
I am able to see the screen.
Please stop it, sir. Stop sharing off.
You will do it when your turn comes. Abhi to hata dijiye na.
Okay, please go ahead, Mr. Chai.
So now, Mr. Kumar, please be on the stage.
Whose turn is this now? What is the agenda?
Agenda is, sir, I have requested Mr. U. Kumar now to give the theme presentation and introduction of the speakers. Though the speaker's introduction can be done as and when they are called to speak, but in the meantime, theme presentation can be done by Mr. U. Kumar. Mr. Kumar, please. Kumar Saab, unmute yourself and come in.
ये presentation तो हटा दो ना रावत from the screen.
Can you hear me, Gautam?
I can hear you, sir. Carry on.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity of introducing the subject, introducing the team. Now, right since the time I joined school, School of Mines, which was affiliated to coal mining mostly, I've been hearing about complaints for coal quality. Initially, when the railways were the main consumer, they had a strange system of quality inspection. The inspecting officer used to sit, unload a tub of coal, to pick up stone pieces, and used to say, okay, look, I have sat for so many hours, you'll be producing for so many hours, so you will multiply, and he will arrive at the quantity of non-coal in the supplies. Gradually, power stations came up, and they were bigger consumers. Our mining system also got changed from underground mining. We had to move to open cast mining because no underground mine would support a major power station by itself, and open cast mining became unnecessary. Incidentally, when the coal use was primarily for railway, the best quality coal was used for the railways. I remember I started my career at GDD. We used to produce coal 13% ash, and Verma, if I right, the caking index would be of the order of 24, 25, and that we all burnt in locomotives. People kept on talking, nobody will listen to it, and then now grid is over, and many other coal fields where good quality coal was available, all that is gone. Now we have to accept that our Indian coal is basically inferior in quality. It starts with the very origin of coal, call it drift theory, where humongous volumes of wood or timber together with coal, together with muck, water, alluvial soil has flown and it has got deposited to give you the coal seam. And that coal seam essentially has to be dirty, and it is dirty. Problem is, there is no way of cleaning it as you used to do earlier by putting a tiny rubber belt and picking mazdurs, and they have to pick up the stones. It is just not possible. When you produce 50 million tons from a mine, it's just not possible to pick up stones. So a system has got to be introduced, which is a system which will take care of the need for cleaning coal. And the system is obviously washing. It's a no-brainer. I mean, the coal washing has been there across the world for hundreds of years. And there are situations wherein the coal, before it is left, it leaves the pithead, it must be washed. It's not that attempt has not been made. Even in NCTC days, when the production volume was very small, a washer was constructed at Gidi only for taking care of non-coking coal. And it was very successfully run. It continued to run till much later. But then when NCDC was there, it didn't have funds for building washeries. Coal India got formed. Coal India existed on budgetary support. They didn't have money to. When the Coal India pricing system was changed, Coal India had the money, and it was prepared to invest. I remember as a CMD of SCCL, I negotiated with Robert Schaefer for 10 million tons washery at Dipka, and contract was signed. But power station said they will not accept that coal. We opened Raigarh coal field to give advantage to the local industries. And we said that we'll wash the coal, give it this quality and all that. They said no, not interested. The third phase came when the power stations started asking for coal, washed coal, and Coal India couldn't afford it. So, it's absolutely no use apportioning blame. We both have to accept the blame. And instead of apportioning blame, I think wisdom lies in taking a constructive approach, and we should go for a system which will remove this problem of poor quality in Indian coal. A very serious attempt was made by the government in 97 and 97 when they made it obligatory in the power stations 1,000 kilometers away and located at located at a distance of 1,000 kilometers and located in critically polluted areas. They were supposed to coal only having only 34% ash. Distance got reduced to 750. Distance got reduced to 500. And when things were moving, not very brilliantly, but it was moving all right. And as Gautam said, 148 million ton capacity per annum was created for coal washing. And then all of a sudden, something happened. Some tube light blew, some brainwave came, and the whole thing was washed off. That means no washing is needed. And you go back to the pre-97 days when things were much better because better quality of coal was there. But quality of coal had deteriorated and washing has been put aside. Now even today, it's time that both coal producer and consumer join hands, look at the advantages, disadvantages, look at the ways of negating the disadvantages, look at the ways of augmenting the advantages, and we should come to a solution which meets the requirement both ways. I personally would feel that because the resistance is so strong, even now, against washing, we could make a small beginning. We could go for deshelling of coal. It can be dry deshelling, it can be wet deshelling. But it's a very simple process. It's much cheaper. Installation of deshelling plants is very easy. It's not very capital intensive. And the advantage is that later on, when you get convinced about the washing, about the efficacy of washing, this can be dovetailed into the washing system, so that the investment that is made on deshelling plant does not go waste. I would appeal that we should discuss the issue in a constructive way, and we should think of stages in which we'll attack the problem. And I'm sure, the world over has used coal without this type of problem. I think we are reasonably wise people, reasonably brilliant people. We are good at inventing things. There should no reason why we should fail in this attempt also. So I do hope that today's deliberations will pave the way for keeping a comprehensive view, taking constructive approach to resolve this problem once for all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kumar. Thank you very much. Now may I request Shri R.V. Sahi, President of India Energy Forum and former Secretary Power, Government of India, to give his presidential address. We thank Mr. Sahi for taking the pains to be the motive force behind the organization of India Energy Forum and holding such brilliant events, webinars, and recently held a very good seminar with the USAID. So I'll request Mr. Sahi to kindly give his presidential address and put the context in the ruling. So Sahi, please.
Mahita, please unmute.
Thanks a lot, Gautam, for the nice words. Thank you very much. As the head of the coal vertical in the India Energy Forum, you have been a great support and a great driving force on organizing a number of discussions on various issues with good support of Mr. U. Kumar. Always we have had very rich discussion in these webinars and also the seminar that we had in non-virtual mode. This subject we have discussed in the past as well. Please mute, please mute, please mute. I think we had an exclusive discussion on the WAS-3 earlier. Today's topic is quality of coal in general, and that is how Mr. Kumar also introduced as the starting point whether deshelling could be one of the initiatives. I mean, we have dealt with this for years. We have dealt with coal for decades. And if you see last 30, 40 years of coal consumption in power, and power is the largest consumer, more than 80%, consistently the calorific value of coal has declined. All of you know that the boilers are designed for a certain range of calorific value. And BHL or outside boilers, any boiler will be, please mute, will be greatly affected if the variations in calorific value, because the power stations are not for 10 years or 15 years, they are for several years. If we do the right renovation from time to time, you can definitely think that power stations can run for 40, 50 years without difficulty. And if that be the case, and the calorific value range or calorific value of coal that is supplied to these power stations goes on declining like this, like the way it has happened in India, I think our discussions in coal and power mostly turns into coal blaming power, power blaming coal. But a mature discussion, a technical discussion, that can the design cope with this type of a varying range, widely varying range like this. That has been the, and then of course we are proud to possess massive amount of coal reserves. That has kept our economic activity going on. From India Energy Forum and personally on my own position, I can say that we have taken the view that notwithstanding the massive inflow of renewable that we are trying to get in, and we should, coal will continue to play a very, very dominant role for not years, but decades together. And therefore, this becomes a matter of worry for all of us, that all knowledgeable people, with this problem continuing to exist, and we continue to suffer this problem, but we have not been able to find a good solution to this, very good solution. This is not the case in most power stations in the world. India is not the only country which has more than 200 megawatt of capacity. Coal people and power people. Both of us must have visited a number of power stations abroad. Not only developed countries, not only USA, UK and others, but many other countries. I think the type of approach that we have given to the quality of coal in India is uniquely different and not very complementary, absolutely not very complementary. So this subject has been bothering us. On one pretext or the other, we have been delaying this. I have been closely associated with this. In the past, I have given you my own association with this subject at a personal level. Some of the WAS-3s that happened, and I got involved in each one of them. You mentioned about Dadri. I was the general manager of Dadri, who went to Ranchi, and Mr. S.K. Chaudhary was the chairman of CCL those days. And we decided, we negotiated, we decided we will have it. Then, of course, the Jindal, we have coal washery, which is successfully working for coal plant. They get coal, washed coal, and the plant is working. And then later on, when I was chairman of the Mumbai electric, Mr. Ayub Kumar was with us, and he spearheaded it, and we did it. And in all cases with advantage. There are case studies whether there are advantages. The point that was made by Gautam just now, that some of the WAS-3s because of some bad news or bad developments or perception. I mean, the whole thing went into disrepute. But that does not mean that one should get away from here. And then I was saying that I got associated with that latest notification that was issued in 2010 or 11. And that notification made it mandatory for coal people to supply washed coal and for power people to consume coal, only washed coal. I mean, both the obligations are on both of them, but it has not happened. And very shamefully, I mean, I must say it's not a matter to be proud of. This circular, this guideline or this notification has been withdrawn. I think we should work toward this. One point has been often made, and that is a criticism that has been made against Coal India Limited, monopoly and all that. So now I think that there are other groups which should show the example. There's no point on the other side of the table. We have been blaming Coal India. And when captive coal is being developed by us, we don't do that. Then the whole credibility of this discussion as a consumer of coal gets into problem. So whether it is NTPC or many other organizations, and last year, 22-23, captive coal production is substantial. Now commercial coal production will be substantial. So I think so-called monopoly status of Coal India may not continue. And in that situation, people who have been criticizing from the other side of the table must now look at it and see that they demonstrate it differently. It's not say that Coal India did not do it, and we will not do it. Some of the mine development operators have done it. MDOs, Gautam gave some reference. It is working. People are using. They are satisfied. So it's not that we are trying to prove the technology, or we are trying to prove the advantages of using washed coal. This way, we do it. So definitely, one point that Coal India often has made, it seems, that Coal India has not been very forthcoming because they think they will not be compensated. I have absolutely sort of contested this point, that it is a misplaced apprehension, it is a misplaced doubt that they will do the washery, they will spend money for doing washing, and that will not be compensated. It is there where the need for coal regulator becomes very relevant. If they think they will not be compensated, let the coal sector have its regulator. If they don't have the regulator, let there be a group within Electricity Regulatory Commission which will take care of coal with coal exports, like in the appellate level we have that appellate level. We have energy, petroleum, other people are also at the appeal level. So similarly at the Regulatory Commission level, Central Regulatory Commission level, that type of arrangement can be made, that you have coal experts along with power people looking at the pricing structure. So I think that doubt shouldn't be there. And now the doubt that it is only Coal India and others are not there, that doubt is also not there. If whoever is using washed coal, whoever is producing washed coal, there must be a mechanism to compensate that organization for the cost, the reasonable cost that they incur. I think we need to have a joint statement by coal people and power people. I think next thing I propose doing is I will write to some of the coal experts of India who have been chairman, or maybe by virtue of their knowledge they are experts, some of the coal secretaries and some of the power secretaries. At least, Gautam, you should also get involved in that. At least we should make a joint statement, jointly signed letter to power and coal by all these eminent people. At least 3-4 coal secretaries, 3-4 power secretaries, 3-4 people from the power industry, and some of the Coal India chairman. I mean, Partha can be one. Mr. Jha is on the other side of the sector now. He is chairman of a power producing company. I think some of us should have a very, very objective, not trying to blame each other. How do we go forward? And let's make a good paper and try to pursue this paper. I will definitely, on behalf of India Energy Forum, we will try to do it. At least a dozen signature of very distinguished individuals who have held the positions both in the coal sector and power sector, either there or both. And then we represent to the government that something must be done. Now, particularity is necessary. Even if we have a feeling that from the government side, we protected NTPC or protected Coal India, now we don't need to, because private sector is also coming, other sectors. So therefore, this responsibility of supplying good coal starts from there. And responsibility of using good coal also should be there. That is how that circular was balanced. I think we will take a lead in this matter, and this discussion should not end with this discussion. They should end with, and they should move on with some follow-up. With that, I will very patiently try to listen to the presentations that are made by the experts. Let this not be a debate of coal versus power. It's something that I am very happy. Both Mr. Kumar and Gautam, both have made statements which are not defensive of something, that it is needed. It is definitely needed. We have to see how it is done. So with that, I thank you, Gautam, and you can proceed with the rest of the agenda.
Thank you, sir. And your suggestion is very, very welcome, and we'll pursue it with that letter and getting signatures of the important stakeholders and taking it to the world at large, and particularly to the policymakers and the people who matter and who have to take decisions for implementation of the improvement of coal quality. We'll take it up, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Now we go ahead with the agenda. Now I request Mr. S.K. Verma to give his talk. Let me just introduce Mr. Verma. He is my old friend, my batchmate, and a brilliant student. He was a Pickering medalist from Indian School of Mines in the year 1962, and also continued being a brilliant mining engineer. And after holding very important positions in Coal India, he finally became the chairman, CMD of Central Mining Planning and Design Institute, Ranchi, then Eastern Coalfields Limited, and then Central Coalfields Limited. He was CMD in the position of CMD for over 5 years, and he has got 60 years of experience under his belt. He has been technical consultant to CRISIL, Shri Ram, EPC Group, Adani Group, Chapuria Group, Birla Group, Calcutta, SAIL, many other groups, and now he is technical advisor and expert for KPMG and ArcelorMittal India Limited. So I now present to you Mr. Sudhir Kumar Verma to give his address on the improvement of coal washing. Thank you. Mr. Verma, please.
Thanks, Gautam, and I am grateful to Mr. U. Kumar, under whom I have spent a lot of years, starting my career at Gildi, then again at Charchar at various other places. Thanks, Gautam, for your nice introduction. Well, half of my experience in the coal industry has been in producing coal, and the rest half in mine planning and design. And the subject of coal quality, we have to be very sincere about what we are trying to do. When I was CMD CCL, the problem with Dadri, which was taking coal from Piparwar washery. And I found that somehow the project report drawn by the the Australians, they were not very fair in estimating the yield of the washery, according to which the price was fixed. So I made several visits to Delhi NTPC office and requested them that we have open book, you have a look at the cost sheet of the Piparwar washery, and you have to give me a fair price. CCL was in dire financial trouble at that time, and unless we get a remunerative price, it will be difficult for us to continue the supplies. We had a study conducted earlier by CMPDI in the Dadri power plant, the benefits of taking washed coal from Piparwar. It was very clear that the power station was gaining substantial benefits. But again, I had to precipitate the matter. I told the chairman NTPC, unfortunately, that we will give you raw coal if you don't agree to pay the price. Finally, a meeting was held at Coal India Chairman's office, and NTPC agreed to give us the price of coal. So this is one problem between the supplier and the buyer. We have to mutually trust each other and accept that coal washing incurs a cost. The benefits of the power plant are obvious, so they must share the benefits. Coming back to the subject of coal quality, quality starts at the mine end. Since most of the coal is being produced from open cast mines for power plants, I remember at West Bokaro open cast mine in Jharkhand, they were sampling the coal face regularly to find out the coal quality of the seams which were being mined. So we have to take a similar care in our mines also, to understand what is the actual quality of coal and what needs to be done at the mining stage to remove the stones. Here, drilling and blasting plays a very important role in ensuring that no stony matter is mixed with the coal. And if we take care at the mining stage itself, half of the problem will get solved. Obviously, the solution is coal washing, which has been which is being discussed today. And I'm glad that this subject is again coming up. I believe that a solution needs to be found out. We have tried several modes, and some have been successful, some not very successful. So with the open dialogue, we can resolve this issue, I'm sure. Coal is a heterogeneous material. It is difficult to sample, and unless it is crushed to a very small size, you can't get a proper sample of coal at the producing end. We had installed some automatic samplers at some of the large open cast mines. I remember in Talcher coalfield, unfortunately the auto samplers were designed for minus 25 mm coal, and we were supplying minus 150 mm. So the auto samplers got damaged. Anyway, this problem was resolved, and we had found a solution. So sampling the coal at the loading end is important for the producer. And now with the third-party sampling arrangement, I found from the Ministry of Coal website that there is a arrangement called Ummat, where mutually the coal quality is sampled by a third party, that is acceptable to both the producer and the supplier, the consumer. So I don't know what else I can add on this subject. We take care at the planning stage to mine coal in such a way that we are mining coal from different coal seams. We get a blend so that the coal quality is as uniform as possible. I understand that the power plants require a consistent quality of coal. The heat range and the ash range has to be within a narrow band for which the power plant has been designed. So this must be accepted, and accordingly, the mining system has to be so designed that we produce coal of different blend so that we get a consistent quality as close to the requirement of the power plant. So this is one issue which the producer has to take care. We can, underground mining, there is not much problem with coal quality. I remember when I was working at Charcha Colliery, we were supplying coal to Bhilai steel plant. And there were, at that time, it was not a supplier's market. We had to be very careful in addressing to the complaints of the consumer. And as soon as the power plant complained that your ash percentage is increasing, we investigated and found that our blasting in the underground was not very satisfactorily done. We had arc water coal cutting machine, and the bottom holes, if not drilled properly, were damaging the floor. And the floor shell was getting mixed with coal. So we took care of that, and the problem was solved. So we have to be, I think one of the problem today is that Coal India being a monopoly, the consumers feel that they are not giving due attention to their complaints. So this is one issue which we have to, after all are by the Indian people, and therefore there should be no reason why there should be dispute on this issue. I have, while working in ECL, I discovered that the TNEB was taking coal, our superior grade coal from Dhulpur Bazari open cast mine, and they had serious complaint. They were facing competition with imports. So I visited TNAB plant and I met the chairman and I assured him that we'll give you the grade of coal for which we are charging. And I took care at the mine end itself. There were a lot of manipulations going on. You know, the rakes which were meant for private sector, they were manipulating the coal supply, and I had to intervene personally to ensure that the TNAB got a fair share. The coal quality for which they were paying, that coal was supplied. And fortunately, I'm glad to record that the problem was solved. So we have to take care of the consumers' issues, whatever complaints they have, and take appropriate and sincere measures to address them. I don't know, I think I have left the industry now nearly more than 20 years ago. And what is the current status? The washery issue is coming up again and again. And as I said, Mr. Shahi, I respect his views a lot. I have heard him on several occasions. And I believe that solution can be found. I don't know whether I can add anything more on this subject. I thank once again for inviting me for this talk. And I'll be glad to answer any questions later in the evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Verma. Thank you very much for your comments, very valuable, and I'm sure they will help us in going forward and making a report. So thank you so much, sir. Now I will request Shri L.M. Dora. He is a graduate mining, a mechanical engineer with 30 years of experience in mine and mineral industry. He has hands-on experience in iron ore mines, coal mines, diamond mine, crushing and screening systems, coal handling plants, coal washeries, and core beneficiation. He has wide experience in designing of coal handling plants, iron ore beneficiation plants, process sheets, and designing and engineering of cross-country conveyors and coal and other handling plants. He has worked with companies like BHP Engineers, Voltas, a Tata Group of company, JSPL, a Jindal Group company, and Reliance Power. He has published many papers on mineral processing, material handling, and coal beneficiation. He has been in charge of the washery at Angul plant, which is supplying washed coal to the coal gasification plant. His experience is going to be very useful for us, and I request Mr. L.M. Dora to please share his experience with us. Thank you, Mr. Dora. Please come in.
Good afternoon to all. And thank you, Mr. Gautam, for giving an opportunity. And thanks so much to all these dignitaries. Let's start the mine is complex mixture of material with large variety of physical properties. In addition to the coal itself, pieces of rock, sand, various minerals are contained in the mixture. Above all, the most significant characteristic of Indian coal is high ash, which varies from 35% to 45%. At some places, it is beyond 45% also. And these high ash coal cannot be used directly in a power plant or in iron making process. It needs to be beneficiated. Until unless the ash is not reduced, it cannot be used directly. If you will be using this coal, will be producing a lot of ash. The coal washing, which is usually for removal of contaminants, also comes with tremendous environmental and health benefits. It's not only reduces the ash, but also improves its heating value and removes small amounts of other substances such as sulfur and hazardous air pollutants. The coal preparation is required for coal like for Indian coal. And Indian coal, the near gravity material is very high. So it's very difficult to wash this coal, but various methods are there where we can prepare this coal as Mr. Sahi was mentioning, the Jindals put their second washery for washing of coal in the JPL mine, where we have deshelled the coal and mixed with the good coal, and the results were very, very good. The coal washing process in worldwide, it is predominantly two types. One is the density separation, the other one is fourth flotation. Depending upon the coal type, customer's requirement, the method is selected. If it is the thermal coal, it is basically the density separation. If it is coking coal, it's a combination of density and fourth flotation. Flotation process is its most efficient process, but the operating cost is very high, so it is not applicable, not being practiced in the thermal coal. In the thermal coal, in the density separation, various density separation methods are there, like dry or wet. In dry process, we have dry jigs, shaking tables, and combination of shaking table and the air pulsating system, which is nowadays it's FGX. And latest entrant in the dry separation is the collar Certex system. Some Chinese company are introducing, and there's some of the plants in Australia, they are using this Certex system. It's a 200, 300 tons per hour modules you can add off for color sorting. In the wet procedure, it's through jigs or through dense medium cyclone. Depending upon the coal requirement, the jigs can reduce in a single stage 10 to 12% ash, not more than that in a single stage. If your requirement, and whereas in DMS system, it can reduce more than 20% ash in a single stage. The jigs is a low cost, low operating cost, low capex, and yield is also very low. Whereas in the DMS, capex is high, operating cost is high, but efficiency is very high. The EP value is 0.01 or 0.02, even less than that also sometimes. So it's a very efficient thing. And while washing thermal coal, we wash basically in jigs or DMS system. As Mr. Kumar said, we should go for deshelling. Yes, it is very true. The coal, which is our 45% ash, we should go for a single stage. Deshelling is we can go a broad washing. We can go through wet washing or dry washing as a deshelling procedure, can reduce 10%, which can be utilized in PF boilers. For steel making, we have to go for 2-stage or 3-stage washing to bring down to less than 20% ash. The benefits of using wash coal are, as there is a reduction of ash content in the coal, the burden of power plant to take care of ash produced is reduced. Lesser the ash content, due to lower ash content, wear and tear of equipment will be reduced, which reflected in the operating and maintenance cost of the power plants. Power plants are designed to handle particular quantity of coal. If they use beneficiated coal, they can use lesser quantity to produce more power. More power is generated in beneficiated coal than using raw coal. This leads to reduction in coal purchase, resulting in lower cost of power plants. Cleaning coal prior to combustion can significantly reduce the levels of sulfur emissions from power plant, as well as reducing the amount of ash and slag produced. Physical cleaning, as outlined above, can have a beneficial effect on power plant performance and maintenance schedules. Reduces fly ash generation in the most combustion stage and extends the life of ash disposal landfills. The washed coal reduces transporting cost of coal from the power plant which are far away from pit head or coal mines. In the deselling, as Mr. Kumar said, in deselling, if you can take out plus 70% ash coal in a RM coal of 40 or 42, plus 70%, that constitutes about 20%. That 20% straight away we can reduce the transporting cost, and the ash of that 20% coal can be reduced in using of power plants. It reduces transporting due to clean constant coal. The power generation is more for same quantity of coal. The PLF is increased. Washing coal increases efficiency and quality, therefore increasing its prices. It can also help reduce emissions from burning, and wash coal is a really win-win situation for the consumers as well as the producers. So I think we should try our best to wash the coal before sending to the end users. Thank you all.
गौतम साहब म्यूटेड हैं.
Yes, sir, this much. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir, I was muted. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Dora. Thank you very much for sharing your experience with us. You have been very kind. It was very, very elaborate, and in detail you explained as to what benefits can be there by improving the coal quality either through dry washing or through wet washing. And you did explain all the methods very well. So thank you very much, and it will be useful for us to take them into account in making our report. Now I will request Mr. BP Singh. He is a coal man, and has been with NTPC looking after their coal supplies to start with, and later rose to the position of Director NTPC. Mr. BP Singh is a graduate in mining engineering from Indian School of Mines, Dhanbad, where he also pursued a certification course in the industrial engineering. In addition, he holds a certificate in the influence and negotiation strategies from Stanford University, USA. He's a very qualified person. He joined NTPC in the year 1981, and since then he had worked with NTPC in various positions and rose to the rank of director in NTPC. And after his retirement, he has been very successful and a well respected person as a member of the Delhi Electricity Regulatory Commission. So you have a very experienced person, experienced from all kinds, from the consumer side as well as from the coal side as a supplier of coal, and also knowing the very problems from both sides, from the consumer side as well as from the supplier side. So we will have definitely a very valuable input from Mr. BP Singh. So may I request Mr. BP Singh to please come in. Thank you very much, Mr. Singh, please.
Good afternoon, sir. And thank you, Gautam sir, for a very nice introduction. Let me share my screen. Is it visible?
Yes, yes.
basically, we have heard so far what the people have done administratively or technically to improve the quality, but I am trying to address the issues where we need the policy interventions which will enforce the quality improvement. Without that, people are not going to take voluntarily accepting the improvement in quality. I have divided my presentation into different heads, and let me start with the context set that we all know that air pollution is the greatest environmental threat to the public health. And globally, it accounts for more than 7 million deaths every year. And air pollution and climate change are closely linked. And all major pollutants impact the climate and most share common with greenhouse gas. Acceptable limits of PM 2.5 as per World Health Organization guidelines. Annual average concentration is about less than or equal to 5 microgram per meter cube. And 24-hour average exposure should be less than or equal to 15 microgram per meter cube, not more than actually 3 to 4 days per year. Whereas India's PM 2.5 level is at 53.3 microgram per meter cube, which is more than 10 times the acceptable limits. And these greenhouse gases directly target the human respiratory system, causing bronchitis, asthma, affecting central nervous system, even causing cancerous diseases. There is a growing importance of coal washing because it improves plant efficiency and life. There is a stringent environment norms coming, that's why we need to have coal washing. And over and above, there could be a value addition when we're talking of coal gasification, coal liquefaction, and coal to hydrogen. So coal washing will gain a different, more trust with these aspects coming. Now, India's emission targets, which we are globally committed, is the reduction in emission intensity by 45% from the base year 2005 to 2030. Achieve carbon neutrality by 2070. 50% of electricity from non-fossil fuel sources by 2030. 500 gigawatt of RE by 2030. Reduction of CO2 emissions by 1 billion tons by 2030. Now, having recognized that fossil fuel-based capacity contributes to emission, dilution in legal framework and use of washed coal is a serious cause for concern. Now, if we look at the legal framework in 2nd January 2014, MOEF had issued guidelines and made rules that any power plant which is located between 500 to 750 kilometers shall use coal either raw or blended or benefited, having coal ash not exceeding 34% on quarterly average. And that was to become effective from January 2016. Same provision between 750 to 1000 kilometers was made mandatory from January 2015, whereas beyond 1000 kilometers, it was imposed as an immediate effect. On 21st May 2021, MOEF has overturned its original rule position. And now it has been just kept open. There is no mandated that you have to mandatorily use. It's up to the prudence of the user and the supplier to agree upon and take a 34% ash rate. Now let's have a look at it. Where do we stand on the installed capacity? Today we have more than 205 billion megawatts of installed, 205 million megawatt of installed capacity of coal-based out of the 417 million megawatt of the total capacity, which contributes to 49% of the installed capacity. That means about half the capacity is today coal-based, and that is where the issue comes on the pollution. If we look at thermal generation trend, even when the RE power is increasing, the thermal generation is still increasing at an aggregate of about 3.5%. while the PLF is dropping. That means the coal will still continue to remain as a primary fuel source even for years to come. Now, with the stringent regulations coming on flexibility of power, we know that when more and more of RE power is coming with the thrust on environment, which has the variability, there is not fixed predictability at what time the solar power will generate how much, because it is depending on the sun. Similarly, wind power and the wind speed. So to cope up with the average supplies and to maintain grid stability, there is a need to have a power storage. Now, power storage could be through pump storage or through battery, and they have their own limitations and issues. Under the circumstances, now it is being contemplated that thermal power plants should be allowed to operate, or should be asked to operate at a much lower level. Earlier, the optimal level of performance was kept at 67%. Now it is being asked to reduce it to 55% or 40%, and even there they talk to reduce it to 33%. But this will definitely necessitate more and more stringent controls on quality of coal to be supplied to operate at such low loads, because otherwise the boilers may trip due to flame failure. Now, what is the user perspective to choose a washed coal? There is a technical requirement, for example, steel plant. They have a specific requirement for the smoking coal, and they cannot do away with. So that's why when we see at the washed coal output, mostly the smoking coal has a maximum output than the thermal station. On power plant, it is operational requirement for grid stability, especially supercritical and ultra supercritical plants, which are coming now, where the steam parameters have to be maintained in a narrow band. And flexibility on operation, where new regulations are coming in, they will have to use benefited coal. But the main prima facie remains is commercial and economic consideration. GHG emissions remains, other regulatory provisions remain. We all know that what are the advantages of benefited coal. It reduces equipment size, lower capital cost, lower operation cost, reduced outages, lower maintenance cost, better combustion, and so on. I don't want to add all the much more. But we know that coal consumption of coal has a direct bearing on greenhouse gas emissions. The moisture content, ash content, and fixed carbon influences specific coal consumption. High ash content and moisture content leads to lower calorific value, the resultant increase in specific coal consumption. Typically, for every 1% increase in ash or moisture, the GCV drops by about 2 to 3%, and specific coal consumption increases by about the same percent. Whereas for every 1% increase in fixed carbon, the specific coal consumption may decrease by about 5%. So better quality of coal, reduce specific coal consumption, reduce GHG emissions. That is the underlying why we should need a washed coal. Then coal combustion, there is also other gases, which is GHG gases, there is sulfur dioxide, which contributes to acid rains and respiratory illness. Nitrogen oxide, which contributes to smog and respiratory illness. Particulates, which contribute to smog, haze, and respiratory illness. So all these effects can be minimized by using beneficial coal. We understand all this, but still, why don't we use washed coal? And we try to address these issues through plant design. And what are the drags? Why we are reluctant to use washed coal? First thing is the dispatchability of coal. In our present tariff structure, the lower the fuel cost, improves chances of power dispatchability. Higher the dispatch, better is the plant efficiency. Cost of coal when adds to fuel cost affects dispatchability. That's why all the issues related to GHG gas emissions are normally done through plant design. Capital cost recovered as annual fixed cost, irrespective of actual generation, higher capex yields higher return. So there are commercial concerns which have an overriding priority over the other concerns. Now, when the rule was changed and the 500-kilometer distance that the use of washed coal was done away with, the general perception which I read through the net, that why should we benefit? when about 40% of total coal production from coal mines is already having ash less than 34% and doesn't require washing. Another 15% of total coal may be brought under less than 34% ash content coal by dry deshaling process at coal mines itself. Even in the mines where washing is implemented, generally the process involves separation of about 60% better quality coal physically and subjecting the remaining 40% poor quality coal to wash. So this is basically a layman's perspective. We need to understand that average principle doesn't apply to public health. If we say it is a quarterly basis average, if we have used a bad coal for certain time, the emissions which have come and impacted the public health will remain. And that is where it is the consistency in coal quality day in and day out is more essential rather than looking at an average perspective of a quarterly or yearly basis. If we really want to protect the environment. And this need is real and just where we want to act. So the solution rests with benefiting coal and encouraging its use. When we talk of Indian coals, basically there are two theories of coal formation. And Indian coal is a drift formation, follows the drift formation theory, where actually the carbonaceous material has moved over a longer distance and carried dirt bands along with it. So when we see at our coal seam analysis, we find that it is very highly interdependent. There are very thin bands, including up to 5 mm and 3 centimeters. So this poses a difficulty washing coal, which has already been emphasized even by our other speakers. Now, if we look at coal production, definitely it is increasing, and total production in the last 5 years, I have drawn a figure, and it is almost reaching 1131 million tons, which is in the 22-23 that figure. So about 95% domestic coal comes from open cast mines, and that is where the issue comes on maintaining the quality. There is a scope for research and development. With deteriorating quality of coal, the complexity of washing will increase. Operators may have to resort to multi-stages of washing, maybe 4 to 5. Academic and research institutions and technology providers may need to work in tandem with the industry, as they are ultimately responsible for implementing this technology. Even after 60 years of independence, the Indian coal washing industry is still at its nascent stage. And that is how, when we look at the number of washeries which we have, in the coking coal wash, today we have 19 washeries out of only 17 are working and 2 have been closed, producing about 37.18 million tons per annum. On non-coking coal, we have about 41 washeries, out of which 22 are operating and 19 have been closed, washing about 115 million tons of coal. And the gross production today remains at about 152.31 million tons. This is from the Office of Coal Controller's figure, which I have taken. So if we look at about 67% of coking coal being produced is being washed, whereas for non-coking coal it is only about 18%. Now let's look at what are the actionable points. I would like to stand to get corrected if I am wrong. But today when we compute our coal reserves, it includes stone bands up to 1 meter. Whereas there is a need that this band should be reduced to 50 centimeters, so as to improve quality assessment. Then sizing of coal, even the latest coal price notification, if we look, still permits manual coal grade. That should be done away with, and we should resort to mechanical coal grade. Coal pricing. Now, if we really want to make use of benefited coal and encourage it, then the coal pricing structure has to be such that the cost of processed coal after the given quality and the raw coal of that quality should be more or less comparable. So long as there is a cost differential, people will be reluctant to use washed coal. There are some of the international practices which they have been used to balance out the cost and pricing of washed coal with respect to the raw coal. And this is what I have taken from the TERI's report, where coal price is a function of quality parameters in case of Poland, that is heat value, ash, sulfur, and moisture. And there is ash content ranges were applied to encourage coal cleaning. There is a 2% improvement in price for marginal decrease in ash content. This increase in price was designed to compensate the cost of beneficiation. Indonesia, there is a benchmark coal pricing and imposes penalty for high sulfur emission, moisture, freight loss, etc. And there is a complex formula for it. United Kingdom also, there is an ash penalty on utilities for disposal, landfill tax, in addition to actual ash disposal cost. United States, it's a free market, but still there are plants are heavily penalized for emission of every additional ton of CO2 beyond a prescribed level. China, there is again, besides production cost and labor cost, price component consists of resource cost, environment cost, sustainable development cost, and safety cost, which is loaded on to the coal pricing to cater to the and encouraging the beneficiation of coal. So suggested actionable points are restructuring the power tariff. Food for thought is, besides economic considerations, power tariff may need to be restructured to factor in the environmental cost affecting health and safety of us. Probably way forward could be introduce an appropriate loading factor toward portion of capital cost for containing GHG emissions on energy charges. Introduce some kind of multiplying factor to compensate for environmental impact while scheduling under merit order dispatch. Coal benefiting capacity and use of clean coal in India appears to be based on more of an economic consideration as compared to environment. Policies needs to be put in place that would encourage setting up of watcheries. Prioritization of environmental desirability should override the economic viability. Power generators are always under pressure to contain generation costs to attain high level of dispatchability. Consequently, they are compelled to invest in technology to reduce pollution. It is unlikely that washing will be done voluntarily unless there is an incentive to do so, such as bringing in price parity on quality terms, raw and washed, public funding support on the scale it is available for renewable energy. Since economic and environmental benefits of coal mentioned do not often translate into financial savings at the plant level, a case for justifying public support may merit consideration. Utilization of National Clean Environment Fund for investment in coal washing would support the cause of shifting coal from quantity terms to quality heat value terms, technology and fuel neutral policies, and reward all efforts that reduce carbon emissions may need to be put in place. And that's all, sir. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Mr. BP Singh. It was a fantastic presentation and a very balanced one. Coming from a very balanced person who is basically having a background of mining engineer and worked all his life in a power producing company. So as the balanced views have come, it is very, very elaborate, very deep thinking. Thank you very much for this presentation. It's going to be a very good reference point for us to refer to, because you have given such elaborate information in this presentation. So thank you very much. We are indeed grateful to you. So thank you so much. Now I proceed ahead with this. So I may request that people can come with question and answer questions, looking for answers from the various speakers. So if anybody has got any views, please come in. Are there any questions from anyone? Please unmute, please. Yes, Sharma.
Yeah, I'm unmute. Yesterday I was at the ET Energy conference, and I did ask Gurdeep Singh that what are you going to do with your old coal-based plants? Are you going to be them put on the RNM? Or you're going to discard them by putting the renewable energy? So he said that no, we are not going to discard them. We are going to go on RNM for most of the plants. Now, if you go on RNM, you need, I don't know whether you could implement supercritical boilers or not. Because if you are on RNM, if you put supercritical boilers, obviously the efficiency increases. Now, in such a situation, when NTPC and all other SEBs are going in for RNM, what do you suggest? What should be the quality of coal going forward in future to improve efficiencies as well as the quality of coal? Thank you.
May I make some?
Sure.
Yes, sir.
So today's topic was how to improve the quality of coal. I happened to visit the coal mines areas of CIL as well as private. My observation was, with a view to increase the production at a faster rate, the companies are not following strictly the mining principles. For example, the benches are not prepared, blasting is done, and the mine is not protected.
Mr. Verma, you are giving independent comments or you are replying to the question of Mr. Sharma?
No, I'm giving independent comment.
Okay. Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Because the subject was improving the coal quality, and therefore the mines have to be protected from the rains. When the rainwater goes, the mud is the OB is carried to the mining area. And if you look at the borehole studies of the Indian mining areas, the coal, as per the borehole studies, is not that bad as it is mined. Actually, the dirt bands have to be mined separately, and I sometimes wonder that how that private people like Sasan and others are able to mine coal very good quality and to suit their power station. I also happened to visit Mozambique, where Jindals are mining this coal, and there is a beautiful arrangement of the washing of coal and the coal which is heaped for supply. It is absolutely fine without any extraneous materials like stones, shales, etc. So my suggestion is that if the coal quality attention is paid at the mining area, and if they are enforced, for example, then the mining could increase. The boulders, etc., which are the feeder breakers which are introduced, no one cares to change the tooth of the feeder breakers, and some such thing happens. So my point is that a serious view has to be taken, and some organization like the coal controller or someone have to look into the mining cost, etc., and the mining, the cost of the coal with reference to the quality, etc., has to be paid attention. Nowadays, because of the renewable energy, the Central Electricity Authority, Ministry of Power, have come to a conclusion that the coal-fired power stations have to reduce their generation up to 40%. If they are to be reduced up to 40%, then the coal quality which is received now will not do, and definitely either washed coal or whatever. If you find reshelling or beneficiation of coal, such practices must be introduced. The Ministry of Coal notification of supplying the raw coal must be reversed again, and this is number one point. Number two, the regulatory commissions in the electricity sector, they all sometimes play a role which is against the coal quality. They don't approve the washing costs because of one reason or the other, and the power stations suffer, and then they are not encouraged to take the washed coal. This has happened in one case, I remember, in the Punjab L&T project, where the washing charges were not approved. They had to go right up to the Supreme Court, who approved that the washing charges must be approved. So we have to take a very considered view about this, and there is a serious need for improving the coal quality. Now we cannot, the older time is not there, and our coal actually is not exportable. Although some people in the mining sector, in the coal sector, argue that the price parity has to be there with the imported coal, there is no such case. The mining charges, mining costs are different than as compared to the imported coal. And Mr. Parthi and our friend in the past, we had R.K. Sachdev, who is no more. We had also argued, and the committee discussed on various pros and cons of the coal quality parameters and the effect on the efficiency, etc. These points need to be seriously considered. And
yes, sir.
yeah,
Thank you, Mr.
yeah.
Verma. Thank you so much.
The FGD issue also, I think you could take up, sir.
Pardon?
Yes. Mr. Sharma is looking for an answer. Will somebody take it up? Mr. BP Singh, would you come in on that? Or then
Not
we
on
can...
that issue,
On
but I
that,
can only answer some of the questions which were raised during 0 hours before we started the discussions. That
Correct.
was on the why captive mine holders are not resorting to coal washing and what NTPC is doing about it. Now, in this regard, I will like to inform basically that when we had developed our contract, the contract itself said that you have to dispatch coal of a 34% or less than 34% ash, either by mining or by processing. The coal handling plant which has been designed has been, provision has been kept to insert a coal washing unit if at all it is required at a later time. What kind of stone bands have to be removed at the time of mining, they were prescribed as part of the contract. And today, the coal which they have been dispatching, which the power plants are getting, is something between G9 and G10 grades. Whereas what they are getting from Coal India is varying between G11 to G30. So that itself says that if we really resort to administrative and technical control at the time of mining itself, a lot of problems can be solved on the day one. And they are getting almost on an average of more than 4,300, 4,500 kilocalories per kg of coal, day in and day out on a regular basis. This is a comment which I wanted to make, but was stopped during the issue.
Thank you, sir.
The point was raised.
Thank you.
Mr. Gautam, one issue was raised regarding the supercritical and ultra supercritical boilers. I wish to clarify that if we go in for large capacity units with these technologies, they do need a good quality of coal, and the raw coal would not would give us the problems, etc., in controlling and the load variations.
I quite agree with you, and it goes without saying it is not much of a debatable point. I quite agree with you. Thank you very much. Any more, Mr. Parthi? Would you like to please come in for a very brief comment on this?
I hope you can hear me. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are.
Okay. First of all, compliment the speakers, Mr. BP Singh and others. The conclusion one draws across all the presentations is that quality of coal needs to be improved, and that there are multiple benefits for having a better quality coal, particularly for the power plants. Leave aside the requirement for metallurgy. Their government has been changing norms, and I would not like to go into that issue. But the fact remains that we are saying that quality needs to be improved. Now, here there are some very fundamental issues. How do you really define quality? Do you define quality as some of the Coal India people and even chairman, I heard it some years ago, and even the ministry, he says quality means measuring quality and sizing coal. I think that's where you make the mistake. Quality has to be measured in terms of the heat value it carries and the benefit it is going to, the higher the quality, the benefit is going to give to the user. You have to correlate this. Now the point here is that if there is no premium for quality, but there is a premium for low quality, the whole matter is topsy-turvy. You will not get good quality coal. It is not economically benefit for the miner to produce good quality coal. You will not get it. And in a monopoly situation, it's still more difficult. Now, what are we really saying? We got to, and I think the point that Mr. Singh made, though not very elaborately, he said that various countries are basing their coal pricing on these issues. But the fact is that when we go into the international market and we are selling coal, we just see how coal pricing is being made. Is there a premium which is being paid for quality? Yes, it is. And there is a suppression of price for low quality. What is happening in India is just the opposite. So where do we find the economic viability for this kind of thing? Now the pricing mechanism is one has to, you see, you open it in the sense that you start relating yourself with the international pricing. You'll immediately see the difference. The need for improving coal and giving better quality will automatically come. But we are not having a very rational way of pricing, and that's one of the major reasons why there is no encouragement of the miner to produce better coal. Because if he gets a price, if he gets a benefit for improving coal quality, then he'll do it. Then let me tell you one more thing, which is of course a very unfortunate thing, is that when Coal India went for the IPO in 2010, which was a very successful IPO, one of the main reasons spoken out by Coal India in various forums abroad, in the so-called propagating your views and trying to get more investments into the company when it was offloading 10% of its shares, was that Coal India is going to resort to large-scale coal washing and improving quality, for which they will take a better price. This was a concept which was sold to the investors, and the investors jumped into it. Today, it's past 12, 13 years. Have we really moved in that direction? We haven't. We have really failed the investor. We have bluffed the investor, to tell you frankly.
So did you see the?
So this is we want to get into rationalized way of pricing, and that's the key issue with regard to quality. That's all I have to say.
Thank you very much, sir. Very, very valid point. Very, very right approach. And
did you see the recent price notification? 16th June.
Pardon, Sharma ji, you said something?
16th June, there has been a price notification. They've increased the prices by about 7 to 8%, but that barely covers the amount what Coal India would be spending on employees' pay hike.
Yes, you are absolutely right. All the pay revisions are linked to pay hike. It is nothing.
Yes, it has nothing to do with coal quality. I agree with you, sir.
To do with coal quality. You're absolutely right.
Now, may I request Mr. V.K. Arora, who has joined all the way from Calcutta, to make some brief remarks if he so wants, so that we can proceed ahead. Mr. Arora, please. Mr. Arora, are you there? It looks like that he was there, he's not there. Anyway, now I will proceed ahead with my program, and I'll request Mr. R.V. Sai, our President, India Energy Forum, now to sum up the whole thing and give his concluding remarks. Mr. Sai, please.
Yeah, I think there is complete consensus that coal quality has to be given attention, except for the fact that Alok brought a different perspective. I mean, he said, when we say quality, what we mean by quality. So one way of looking at quality was, and it may not be a very refined way, from the earlier classification of A, B, C, D, and all that, you change the quality, this classification into a smaller bands of calorific value, and then with reference to those smaller bands of calorific value, the price determination was done. So to that extent, between price and the grade of coal itself is a quality, better calorific value and poorer calorific value. Obviously, one broad quality is the calorific value. Within the calorific value, what one is talking is that if you are not doing washing, then you tend to dispatch coal with all types of extraneous materials. With extraneous materials also there will be a calorific value. Definitely there will be a calorific value. But that is something which is undesirable. So the way Alok put it, which makes a defense for the coal people not to go for washing, that we are sympathizing with coal people. A poor chap, how will they do quality? How will they do washing? They are sort of nobody there to safeguard their interest. That is absolutely not okay. It's not okay. Because Indian energy industry has seen and has learned to protect the interest, and sometimes power consumption people, they complain, but power producers are protected. They are protected. The regulatory mechanism, they are protected. Mostly the cases that go to the court are the cases from on behalf of consumers, and finally some judgment happens. So I think the matter gets settled. You have a regulator that protects. Then we brought in the concept of, you see, another way of looking at price is, Alok, like we did in power. We did not leave it to NTPC. We said, as again, 10% of private sector, 50% is private sector, and compete. We said PPA will be on the basis of competition. So therefore, that means that you produce power, you compete, somebody says this 3 rupees, somebody says, so you see in the solar that is happening, coal is happening, but subject to certain other safeguards. I think that way we will again derail the discussion. We'll derail the discussion by sympathizing on this. I don't sympathize with power people who have been against this, so I criticize openly that when this circular was to be withdrawn, many people approached me. And I did a cross-checking. I did cross-checking with coal people, I did cross-checking with NTPC. NTPC is not interested in fighting on that. Larger, they were not interested, so both ways it helped. I mean, it went through a very useless decision, and this killed the prospect for quality coal to be supplied in Indian industry. So finished. That circular was that guideline was withdrawn. I think the answer to the question is competition. One way, the wait for another 5, 6, 7 years till the time we get more commercial mining and more of captive. So there will be options for people to buy from here. So it took time. Coal industry is an industry, a sleeping industry. Successive coal secretaries I met, Alok, I'm telling you. Nobody was interested in pursuing the coal bill. Coal bill and power bill. In 2000, 2001, they were submitted. We had to resubmit it. And every coal secretary told me, why to take pains, Mr. Sai, this is very controversial. That Coal India, workers, union, this, that. So obviously we did not bring the competition. So competition to some extent takes care of the problem of, to some extent, not fully, of whether you are protected, not protected, and somewhere one tries to balance the interest of consumers versus the interest of suppliers. I think it's a pure and simple case that for many, many years, Coal India will continue to dominate. good point is that Coal India people also recognize this. Coal India chairman have recognized that this should be done. I made my point in the remarks that I made, that there is a way to take care of this price. Overnight, 400 or 450 rupees per ton was put on the power sector and the coal cess. That has become a GST now. So the 450 rupees per ton can be paid. Obviously, a little more can be paid, on this. So the price, it has been overpriced. I've overpriced in the sense that because of not you, because of not Coal India, but because of all these regulations. Royalty is increased, this is increased, that is increased. So obviously, whole system has been totally indifferent to this subject. So it is there where I have some grievance against the point that is made by Alok, that instead of trying to recognize that the people who were to decide, they have been indifferent to this. Royalty can be increased, coal cess can be done, but this cannot be done. Because after all, that is not passed on to Coal India cost, that is passed on to the consumer, finally. Consumer has to pay for this. Obviously, that is not the answer. Answer is that really we approach and bring awareness. Sleeping people bring awareness that you are doing great injustice. There is no point in crying that we have cheated the investors of Coal India. I mean, Partha also mentioned that point one day, that we have cheated them and therefore Coal India prices have gone down. Obviously, Coal India, if they made that point, they should have done it. Who prevented them from doing it? They should have done it. This is a breach of trust. They should have done it, and I tell you, one can debate with me, with anybody. If they had done it and if that is a price increase, there would be a method to protect them. Absolutely, there will be a method to protect them. But they did not do it. I think coal people, power people, all of us, now we are neither coal nor coal. We are like Alok is also not in government. I am also not in government. Let us do some pastime on this. And I said, I had you also in mind when we said that 12 people to 15 people will make a joint statement and run about this and try to do it. They do it. Price will definitely be, cost will definitely be protected, I can tell you. Today, if you give to Regulatory Commission CERC with the coal expert as a member in the CERC, you will see that will happen. So that is the way it should be done. I think more or less there is consensus or unanimity, you can say, that coal quality has to improve. I was happy to see that most of the coal people with huge background and very satisfactory and outstanding background, they have all agreed that what is happening is not okay. We must do it. To the extent that they need to be protected on cost, there is complete unanimity. Coal India cannot absorb this cost or absorb in its own profit this cost for washing coal. That is absolutely out of question. Subject to that, I think we must pursue this. From India Energy Forum, we will take it very strongly. I will put some time into this. Alok, you also be with us, and some of the coal secretaries, your successor. We approached Meena now, and then try to, we talk to the PMO, we talk to Niti Aayog. Niti Aayog, and create consensus on this. That was absolutely out of place how this circular was. I mean, within a matter of weeks and days. By the time we learned that is happening, it happened. That was it. I said shamelessly, this we cannot be proud of that type of a decision. Absolutely. Such decision cannot be taken overnight like that. And everybody combined together and put a decision to do as it is, it was getting delayed in implementation. But at the level of policy itself, a wish or a statement of requirement, that itself we withdrew it. So I think it's a good discussion. We will pursue this matter. Thank you very much once again, all participants and speakers, and Gautam and your group. Where is your convener today?
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for your very, very nice concluding remarks, which really has a very clear mandate as to what we are going to do after this webinar in a very positive manner. And I'm sure we will certainly do it, and we'll get better results, and we'll do shake up the people who matter in taking action. Thank you very much, sir. Now, I request Mr. S.K. Grover, who is the convener of the Coal Group of India Energy Forum, to give his vote of thanks. Mr. Grover, please.
First of all, Mr. Shai, I was all through there. Only thing I didn't put my video. I was just attentively listening what's happening there. So I must first of all thank the Energy Forum's President, Mr. Bahmani, that he set the ball in motion. To start with, gave a brief of what IEF stands for. Then coupled by Mr. Gautam and Mr. Kumar, they laid the foundation stone for the discussion for the day. Mr. Shai's suggestion of keeping some retired senior secretaries from coal and power, or by senior persons in both and power sector and coal sector, should now they're meant free to express their views, and they should form so that we can go back to what we had done and undone again, so we can do back again the need of consistent quality of vast coal. Then my again class fellow S.K. Verma, he very clearly mentioned that we need to supply to the extent possible consistent quality of coal. So I'm thankful for his suggestion. Similarly, Mr. Dora, he also mentioned that for the power sector, our consistency is more important, whereas for steel sector, we have to have a ash content as low as possible for the performance of the steel industry. Now, regarding VP Singh, I can say that since we worked together for 14 years in NTPC, I know his capabilities, and whenever there's something of analytical, I always used to put it onto him, because he's a, you can see from his presentation also, he has been very, very analytical and putting things straight away. So I am thankful to him. I don't want to elaborate what has been mentioned by him and others. So I only say that one or two more points, that when we are carrying coal, our most important single component cost is transportation. And if we carry high ash coal with the less GCV, we are loading the cost of generation. And if we use washed coal with the then better heat value, then this can be helpful to the industry and the power sector all through. So this is one important thing that I thought I must focus on that. And Indian freight is the highest in the world. That need to be addressed. And because we have been compensating freight, the fare, etc., all the railways. And there can be saving the power plant if we use consistent quality of coal and sized coal. And washing coal was 100 millimeters, but internationally coal trading is done at 50 millimeter. And if you do 50 millimeter size, then you don't need primary crushers and all those things. And that is a big saving to the power plant, its layout and all those things. Cost of generation will come down. The carrying coal of 200 mm or 100 mm or 50 mm is same. So it's better that we should focus on these things, how we can overall take advantage of bringing down the cost of generation. That is very important. Then consistent quality coal improves the performance of the coal. That's why coal washing is absolutely essential for a typically Indian coal, because our coal is heterogeneous mass. Whatsoever we may say, we cannot get supply of consistent quality, which Mr. Verma very clearly mentioned. So then VPC has covered everything. Pollution and all those can be of great advantage if we have washed coal. So I'll sum up with saying thanks to all of you for beautiful presentation, and we now expect our senior retired secretaries, both power and coal sector and coal industry, to put up pressure to go back to our washing of coal for over advantage of the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, all of you, sir. And I have a great pride in telling that we have finished right dot on time. So that is a great thing. So thank you once again. And we will take up another subject later in one of these webinars. Thank you.
All the points also. Covered all the points in short time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
This brings us to the close of this webinar. I think, as I said in my opening remarks, this subject has been debated for a very long time, and I think we will find a solution now. That what could be the fate of the washing coal and improving the quality of the coal. Thank you very much. Sorry, we are not able to offer you any evening tea.
You can have your own tea sitting at home.
Yeah.
Thank you so much on our behalf.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.